what are the most important mindset shifts that we need to make to go from feeling like sales is just this necessary evil to actually being a genuine way to connect with other people and provide value?
Even people who choose the sales profession demonstrate in anonymous surveys that they still have hesitation. And I think that's because they haven't actually done some of the things we're going to talk about here, because no one's ever taught them. They've never learned. And like you said, we've all been on the receiving end of someone that was a bad actor too. And so we don't have to reach far, whether it's movies or plays or our own experience where we felt like we were poorly treated as a customer. We all have had bad experiences. We understand that we get there naturally. And being a good seller is required to build the business that we all want. It's really required. So how do we get there? You first have to make a vow. And I think this could be very deliberate. I'm suggesting a person really think about it, meditate on it, decide where they feel like they're in conflict with it, and then make a decision that they are not going to sell something to someone that they don't need. So that's about integrity. And I love that word integrity because the idea is that you're whole on the inside. And so my vow and my words and my offer and my copy and the way I run a call, it's going to be full of integrity, meaning that it's consistent and I'm going to do the right thing. And you just make a vow to yourself, especially Kristiana, those of us that are self-employed. I understand sometimes people have a bad boss and they might be in a terrible work environment where they're actually supposed to sell something to someone that they don't need, in which case you need to find something else, right? Like, can't change other people. So you probably want to find something else. But most of us who are listening, most of us probably sell what we built. And so we can decide that we're going to sell the way that we want. And I think the way that good humans want to do that is that they want to be internally consistent. So first thing is make a vow that you will not sell something to someone that they don't need. And if you start to feel like you're bumping up against that line, no matter how low your pipeline is, no matter how scared you feel about what's next month is going to look like, if you break that vow with yourself, then that's only feeding the beast of this idea that you are trying to overcome. So that'd be the first idea. I've got two more, but I want to give you a chance to respond.
Yeah, that just hearing you say that evokes this completely different feeling than pushy, self-centered. It's all about me driving my gain and your loss. And it really comes down to integrity of who do I want to be as a salesperson? Who do I want to be as an entrepreneur? And how do I take that mindset into every interaction I have, whether it's selling, building relationship, offboarding a client even, if it isn't the right fit, right? But I love that feel because it just settles. It allows you to just settle into who you are instead of trying to be someone you're not.
And I've built businesses that didn't make it. So I know what it feels like when you have a low pipeline and you're scared. Okay, so I understand that a person might be listening and they might be thinking, Catherine, you don't understand because I really, really need that sale. But the thing is, as soon as you give into that fear and you let that carry through in how you run the call, your buyer can tell too. And we call that commission breath is the expression in the sales world, is that you start to have commission breath. So all of a sudden, it doesn't seem like you're doing something for them or with them. It's more like to them or at them. It doesn't feel good.
That's an interesting term. I haven't heard that before.
Commission, I know, isn't that gross? And
that sounds icky.
and I like commission, but commission breath is gross. So that's the first thing is like make a vow. Like be a good person, decide where that line is for you and make the vow. The second, it actually requires some coaching. So it's a real plug for coaching. And then you can coach yourself after you have some tools that seem to resonate with you in how your mind works. But it's kind of a meta moment. So when we think about meta, M-E-T-A, meta level thinking, we're thinking about what we're thinking about. So if you're feeling very uncomfortable, you want to ask yourself, what am I believing at this moment? And again, a lot of times for people, it's going back to fear. I'm afraid I won't have enough. I'm afraid they're going to ask me something I don't know. I'm afraid I won't have the answer. That's a big one for early entrepreneurs. It's like, of course you won't always have the answer. and the more human you are about saying, I've never been asked that question before. Can I think about that and get back to you? Like that answer is totally acceptable. It's preferable to making something up on the fly. But we are just so nervous because everything is new when we're first starting out. And so that question, what am I believing is true, has served me over and over and over again because I can calm down and just take a minute, go for a walk, get a drink, get a snack, take a nap, whatever I need to do to get my mind right, and then make a different choice instead of responding out of fear in the moment.
So no more panic emails is what I'm hearing. No more panic, quick decisions, making up an answer, pretending you know when you don't know. That's all gone.
Exactly. And I actually had a sales call earlier today. It's perfect timing where I was talking to someone that I ended up giving quite a bit of free advice on the call because we're getting to be friends. And really what I was giving was very valuable to them. And it was easy for me. And it was 15 minutes. So I ended up being helpful to this person on this call. And I was watching the time, and it was a fairly short call because we both had a lot going on. And so I noticed that I just wasn't going to be able to move the conversation around to a full explanation of the way I was hoping we would work together. So toward the end, I said, well, we've run out of time. And what I'd like to do is, I think we should work together. And I'm thinking that it could look something like this. And I just threw out very high level, basically I'd do something a little bit custom for this person. Is not a program that I'm already enrolling in. And I just jotted out what a few of the deliverables might look like. I said, would you like me to give any more thought to that? Does that sound interesting? And he said, that sounds very interesting. Would you write that up? So I wouldn't go and do a full proposal. I don't think we have enough information about that yet. But my point is, in 2 minutes at the end of the call, I was able to establish, a hook. But I feel like it was a bad thing because he could say no. I said, would you like to do that? I really made it in a way that the door was open either way. And it would be easy for him to say, thank you, this has been so helpful, but I think I have what I need for now. He didn't say that. He said, yes, could we talk again? So I'm giving that example because that's just how calls go sometimes. They just don't, sometimes they only have 25 minutes or you end up hearing a story and they're taking much longer talking about something that you expected and you don't get to your part. But the thing is, we want to have a long view. If we're going to have a relationship for the rest of our careers, which is really what we want, right? We want lifelong customers and referral partners. Then we don't need to be in a rush. And so all that anxiety comes out of being afraid that we're not going to get what we're hoping. And then it comes across the buyer and has the opposite effect that we intend.
Well, what I love about that is it takes the element of performance out of it a little bit more. And it just makes it feel as if there's no negative consequence if the end of this call doesn't go exactly as we planned. Versus, I'm setting up this call very intentionally. Every minute has to be perfect. It has to go like A, B, C, and then I have to have 5 minutes to give my spiel. Otherwise, I fail.
Right,
and
because we role played and you didn't follow the script. I was prepared and you didn't follow my plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. So it feels much more natural.
So it's kind of a meta, like what am I believing? What am I thinking? Thinking about what we're thinking about, that helps me. The third way I want to address this, because I do think it's kind of this 3-step process. The third way is that we get to decide what sales means and create our own definition. So I think the older we get, the more that we realize that words can have multiple meanings to different people. And that a lot of times what happens in relationships and interactions with people is because the meaning making that we assign to what someone else is saying isn't what they intended. Like that's the source of a lot of conflict, right? But this word means this to me, but this word means that to you. And I think similarly with sales, if we decide that we're victims and that we don't want to be seen like those people, then I would say you have the agency to create your own definition and say, to me, sales is blank. And that is a lifelong journey of filling the gap on what that word means, and it will change as you grow and change. This is a little bit parts like why you need a coach. Kristiana did not pay me to say this. It was like, why do you need a coach? Because you need to uncover what you think. And then you have to take agency for your own life and say, well, that's not what it's going to mean to me. The same is true for money, right? Some people were raised to believe that someone who is very wealthy was lucky or was born into it or was dishonest. Okay, but it doesn't have to mean that. That's just what it means to some people. It's agency, right? It's just it's like, it's your life, so you need to decide what you want it to mean.